Well, the project in the shop this evening is this Skag Turf Tiger 61. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be working on this seat pad tonight. You can see I've got this cushion here. I've been sitting on that cushion for the 3 years that I've owned this mower. That seat is extremely uncomfortable. Feels like it's got a broken spring in it, and there is no suspension to the seat. So the only padding that you get, the only suspension ride, is that bottom cushion. So I'm going to go ahead and get that cushion off. It's uncomfortable. I'm going to get it apart, find out what it's going to take to either repair or replace that cushion. And then I think I'll also add a suspension mount below the seat. So I'm not looking to spend big bucks on this. You can spend probably the cheapest suspension seat that I would put on this is running about $700, and I don't want to spend 700 bucks. That suspension plate that I'd like to add runs about 200 bucks. I'd like to keep it around that. So I'm going to go ahead and get that bottom cushion off. The rest of the seat seems fine. The armrests are in good shape. The back is in good shape. I'm going to get this bottom cushion off, get it on a workbench, tear it apart, find out what it's going to take to fix it. Okay, so here we are over on the workbench with it, and first impressions, overall it looks great, to be honest with you. I'm a little surprised that the plywood is in as good a shape as it is, so I'm going to go ahead and pull all these staples out, get this plywood up off of here, and see what it looks like. Get this off of here without damaging the wood is the thing. Okay, so that actually popped off a little easier than I expected it to. It's got like sort of a cellophane on it. You know, that's pretty common when you're dealing with foam, so it doesn't abrade the foam, so you get that sort of slick layer there. It looks pretty good on the inside. So we'll just sort of set that over here for now, and I think in here is where we're going to find issues. Okay, so here's what we're looking at. I'm a little surprised. It's not that crazy looking. This one right here is broken. Well, quick trip over to a family member's house, and I cut a chunk of foam off of a mattress that they had. It was a new mattress. They've been carving it up for projects just like this, so lucked out. I think I'm gonna just go ahead and use foam and abandon the springs, because I'm looking at these springs and this one's broke, so this is the one that I'm sure when I press down on it, you know, these sort of move the way they're supposed to. They sort of push almost straight up and down, almost. This one just wants to kind of rock sideways, so I'm sure that's the spring I've been feeling poking up. I think I'm just going to abandon this whole spring assembly. I'm going to try to save this wooden pan, so I'm going to try to pop this spring assembly off of here and just cut a chunk of that foam to fit on here. Those are an odd looking fastener. I don't know that I've ever seen something like that. You know, of course I ground the head off. It had a rounded button head. I've never seen. I guess you'd call it, I guess that's a type of rivet. Split and then pounded and sort of curled around like a sort of mushroom. Okay, so it ain't pretty. Looked like a little kid did it with kindergarten scissors, but that's all right. Good enough for who it's for. So the thickness, like I said, the thickness is, right now it's almost 2 inches too thick, I think. I'm going to go ahead and lay it on the board and then sort of stretch the cover over it, just see how bad it looks. You can see it's a sandwich of material, kind of looks like Neapolitan ice cream, sort of. So we got this gray, which feels like it's denser. The white is a lot softer, and the pink might be denser than the white, but the gray is definitely the densest. So I want to save the gray because my fear is this is going to be too squishy. So I'm going to lay it on the board, pull the cover across it, see how bad it is, and we'll go from there. But I got a bad feeling I'm going to have to shave this thing to width, and that is going to be a real bear. All right, to even have a chance of covering this thing, I need to take 2 inches off the thickness of this foam. So I'm going to do some figuring and see how in the world I'm going to shave that down. Well, I sure wish I had a bandsaw or a hot wire set up right now. All right, we're breaking out the old school stuff here. I did just try it, and it's actually cutting very well. If I can just stay on the line, I think I'll be in good shape here. This plastic film is still in reasonably good shape, so I'm not going to worry about replacing that. Well, we got a package from Amazon. This is the suspension kit. This cost $179 and some change, plus Uncle Sam end up being about 193 bucks. So let's get this thing opened up. All right, so here's what we got. Looks like some little bit of instruction. Got some hardware. And the main unit. All right, I'm gonna take a peek at them instructions, and hopefully it'll be more or less self-explanatory. Seems like they did on the listing. They were real big on that you have to suspend the thing, or the thing has to have some room underneath of it. They want you to put it on rails, and we've got rails on this, you know, slider rails. But the rails are under this plate. Originally, I was just going to bolt the suspension kit right to this plate. But because you have to have room under the suspension kit, I guess parts go down as it, you know, that's what makes it move. It like pivots down. So you got to leave a gap under the thing. So I'm going to try to remove the rails from under this assembly. And I don't know if I'll be able to do that easily because I got the seat switch and these springs you can see under there. So I don't know. We're going to unbolt this hinge assembly and get it off of here because it's this big plate is attached to this big plate. So we'll see if we can put them, you know, take the rails off and this hinge assembly and flip-flop them. Put the hinge assembly down, put the rails on top here, and then mount the suspension on top of that, because I really don't want to shim this up if I can help it. Okay, so we've run into a couple of issues already. The first issue is, I'm gonna guess this is about an inch from this surface to this surface, and even just looking at these things occupy about 1 3/4 inches. So first thing is, the plate doesn't sit down on the rails. Second thing I notice is, even if the plate did sit down on the rails, the holes are lining up left to right, but they're not lining up back to front. So like if these back here are lined up, like I could drop those right in, there's no holes lining up here. So that's an issue, which is easily solved, you know, the drill bit. Okay, so we're gonna run into another issue. The way that they want you to mount this thing, if you have a handle, you know, for sliders, which of course we do, they want you to put that handle rather than on, it was on the inside here, and it had plenty of room to travel under the seat to disengage. They want you to put that handle on the outside to keep this area open for the suspension to work. And the problem that presents is, now, hopefully you guys can see this. If I put that handle over here, it interferes over there and it's not disengaging, so it won't work there. I can shorten the handle, and that might be the fix. So I'll drill these rivets out. Looks like it's already pre-drilled for different handle positions. I'll drill these rivets out. I'll set it up to this shortest position and see then if the rail will clear the handle over there. All right, so here's what we got for spacers. I don't exactly remember what went between what, but these 4 spacers were used for something, and these 4 spacers were used for something else. So all these spacers were already on this thing, so we're just going to go ahead and reuse them. I'm going to stack them up, because what we got to do is we've got to get this plate jacked up more off of this rail to allow clearance for these posts. So these are about 1.5 inches tall, and right now that rail is only 1 inch off that bottom. So we need 1/2 inch of spacer at least. We're just going to go ahead and drill these rivets out. We're going to try to use these holes here and see if that shorter arm will clear the steering arm. Okay, so rather than cutting this arm off and then regretting it later possibly, looks like I can leave the arm full length and just use those holes. So I'm going to leave this hang on there. It ain't going to hurt nothing to leave it in there, I don't think. We'll leave it on there at least for now, make sure everything's going to work hunky-dory. If it's a problem later, we can whack it off later. Let's see what I got for rivets. Is this plate here sticks up, so we're going to have to gonna have to put some washers under here to shim it up a little bit. Okay, one washer is just enough. We're gonna have to do the same thing on the other side. Oh, that's great news. So the seat is now heavy enough where it pushes down the seat safety switch. So I don't have to deal with that stupid seat safety switch now. Good. Okay, cool. I mean, unless I come off of it, it runs me over and mangles me really bad. You know, that would suck. Okay, so I just jumped on it to try it out. Turn the key and click, click, nothing. Sure enough, safety switch. So if I hold the switch down and hit the key, it'll crank right up. I'm looking at it like, what the heck? Because these things are moving. Then I realized maybe they don't have enough travel underneath. And sure enough, I don't know if you can see that or not, these things need to travel down about another ½ inch to allow that plate to come down and depress the switch all the way. So I am going to unbolt these, stick a couple of washers under each one, bolt it back down. We should be good to go. Well, I can't tell you how many times having a bolt bend has got me out of a pickle like this. Because this would have been another trip to the hardware store had I not kept bolts on hand all the time. All right. Let's go try this thing out. Well, I was trying to hold the camera out there where you guys could see, you know, the seat moving, sort of get an idea of it, but I don't think that footage probably came across real well. So I'll tell you, I just got off the mower. I've been on it for a couple hours here. I mow about probably, I don't know, little over 3 acres altogether. There's a little bit around the house here. Most of what I mow is not very pretty. Like, this is about the prettiest little patch of yard right here, nice and smooth and flat. This is pretty smooth and flat through here. This here we added some topsoil and leveled off, so it's decent to ride on this up here, but that's probably less than half of what I mow is okay to ride on. Most of what I mow is, you can't see it from here, but I mow all around another barn we've got. I mow around 2 big hay fields. We've got another pond, and it's probably 1.5 acres around that pond that I mow around. And all that stuff is not very well kept. It's not, I mean, I mow it and it looks reasonably pretty to look at it, but the ground is real rough. Like around that pond, you know, I'm over there doing stuff with the tractor. You've probably seen in other videos. And if it's wet, I'm still over there. So I'm pushing up ruts all the time. Out around the barn, moving stuff around. If it's wet, I'm moving stuff around that barn with a tractor, pushing up ruts. So most of what I mow is real rough. And I say all that to tell you guys how big a difference this thing made. I will never own another mower without a suspension seat. This is, I mean, it doesn't take out every bump because I hit some big ones. It don't take out all the bumps, but I'll bet it takes out 80 or 85% of it. And I mean, it just makes a huge difference. I can't believe I've been mowing for all these years without a suspension seat. And I'll tell you, I won't ever mow again without one. I hope I helped you with this one, guys. If I did, click that thumbs up button. You want to see more videos of me working on stuff out here in the garage, click the subscribe button. Till the next time, keep on tinkering.